Sláinte, everybody. I am so excited for this week. How are you guys doing? I hope you're having a good December. Let me know what is in your glass. Smash that like button, hit that share. That way more people can find us. See who we got here. Looks in everyone's glass. Hey, Tony, it's good to see you, busted. Cheers, Christine Vasco. It's good to see you as always. Powers Rye Manhattan. Man, that sounds so good. Here's a stranger. What is this cologne you speak of? Mr. Dave, how are you doing, Dave? Wilderness Rye, Ohio, single barrel pick. I did not get out into the lines this weekend. I stayed in bed. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, sir. Yes, everybody. I think that YouTube just catching up. Cheers, Chris Jenkins, one of my Patreons. And here is another one. Cheers, Eric Gunderson. That's awesome. Happy Hanukkah to you, Eric. Who else we got in here? There's James Morgan from the UK. Good to see you, James. Cheers. A Spirited Life, a little wilderness trail for Single Barrel Saturday. Man, I missed out. You guys all made it to Single Barrel Saturday. Cheers, Gandy Road. It is good to see you. And Amy O'Byrne from the O'Byrne Home Pub. Killowen Stories and Sips in our glass. I've got that one behind me. We're going to be drinking some that you'll definitely recognize, Amy. Cheers, Donald. It is good to see you. I was hoping you would join us tonight. So let me introduce our very special guest, one that you guys have heard me mention once or twice or 100 times. So all the way from Ireland, please help me welcome Brendan Carty from Killowen Distillery. Sláinte, Brendan.
Sláinte. Good to see you, everybody. Thanks very much for having me, Stacey.
James picked up the Killowen Rum and Raisin. He's over in the UK.
Good man, James. That's brilliant. Oh, wait, did he get the 700 ml?
He got the 700. Yeah, he got the 700.
Good. They've just been released. Well done, James.
Yeah. He told me when he got it. I'm kind of super jealous because, mine's gone. I'm going to have to make a trip down to get it. Yeah. There's Sugar Kitty. Cheers, Sugar Kitty. Sugar Kitty's heard me mention Killowen once or twice.
Yeah, good on Sugar Kitty. My kitty's lying over there at the minute. I'll wake her up, so,
how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I know it's been crazy busy.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. No, it's good to be here. We've had a busy time of the year, with deliveries and that, but it's the weekend, and it's only 1 week left, really, so we're all good.
And thank you for joining. I know with the time change, it makes it kind of late for you guys.
It's fine. No, I always go to bed late anyway, so it's fine. I normally up drinking whiskey at this time on a Sunday night, so it's just
me too.
It's just less lonely.
After mine, yeah, Sugar Kitty. Killowen. Have to be kidding. I know 4-leaf has never even heard of that. No, not a bit. Your Donner Pass whiskey. Cheers to you, Aaron 10. Amy says, Merry Christmas. Mick and Amy.
Good, Amy. Yeah, I heard you were coming on tonight. Merry Christmas.
So for those of you who, for those in chat who haven't heard of the distillery, don't know about the distillery, tell us a little bit about it. I mean, I've got some pictures. So, because I know I keep telling everybody how small it is, but.
Yeah, it is. It's tiny. It's 10 meters by 10 meters. And what's that in foot? That's about. Yeah, it's about 30 feet by 30 feet, and then which is bloody small, right? And we recently got a new still, but we operated off 2 stills up until very recently, and we tend to do things in a quite old-fashioned sense in terms of there's flame-fed stills, worm tub condensers, and we look at broad mash bills that Ireland used to be famed for and make those styles of whiskies that we don't make anymore, with extra oats, rye and wheat, particularly extra oats in there as well. And we're just big into transparency and empowerment of the consumer. We're very vocal about any issues that we see in the industry, and we get some backlash for that at times. But essentially what we're doing is we just want to make really good quality whiskey that we enjoy, because we're whiskey consumers ourselves, so we find that easy. And people tend to agree with with our ethos, which is good. So we've been quite successful in recent years in Ireland. So amongst the people who really know what they're talking about, and we're delighted, to have a good support base as a result.
Yeah, Sugar Kitty, it's literal garage whiskey. Whiskey that you'd have whiskey that you'd have in the garage is what he calls it. But yeah, literally, it's garage whiskey.
It is, absolutely.
Donald does not have any more Killowen, but he is pouring Tyrconnell 15 Madeira.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Coolie stock. Yeah, so that's good to hear.
And Donner did point out, the very rustic looking stills. Those are they Portuguese?
Yeah, Portuguese handmade, and but they look a lot different now. They're much more rustic looking now. They're very, very weathered and burnt because the flames just there's a lot of soot comes up around them and that. So it's they look a lot older now.
Cheers, William Reynolds. Thank you guys for joining us. So I am warming up with our first pour. And so I thought, instead of just the two of us, I would invite a couple other people on. One of them is joining us later. But one of them, for our first pour, I'm going to bring him on. If he gives me a thumbs up, he's ready. Okay, I'm giving it that. So please help me welcome Bourbon from Whiskey Uncensored.
Hello, all. I'm a little under the weather, but fighting through it for Stacy and Brendan here.
Good man, Ben. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ben. Donner has a question, and make sure you guys keep throwing your questions in chat. What are they fired by, peat or coal?
They're actually fired by gas, but because the gas has only got certain parts where the flame comes out, it creates hot spots under the still, and that creates different burning points. So whenever the proteins in the yeast sink to the bottom with the sugars and burn onto the base of the still, every morning we have to come in and essentially scrape that layer of burnt off the inside of the still. So yeah, we use turf. We use turf for smoking some of our grains outside, but outside of that, it's gas for heating the stills.
Which pour are we starting with, Stacy?
So I think we're going to start with the, let's see if Brendan agrees, start with the coconut rum and raisin, which is the source one.
Brilliant.
So mine is now, you guys, I have a last little tiny bit. So there's a serious below here.
This is a good one. This is a really good one to start with because this is out of all the rum and raisins we've done, this is definitely the best.
I love it.
We've done a few different ranges. There was 9 batches, and then we've now moved into the 700 ml at the moment. And but this one for me is my favorite, and it was different. It deviated. It didn't just work with rum and raisin cask. It worked with a coconut rum cask that was sourced as well. So it's just, I don't know if anybody, you taste it now, you'll see what I'm talking about with those lovely coconut notes.
Oh, I can smell the coconut on the nose. Yeah,
it was insane, and it just fed into that whole story of the rum and raisin. But we wanted that cask for the home market, and we also know that the home market wanted it too. But we just wanted to do our best for the USA, and so we sent it out there.
Yeah, this is a U.S. release. This one, I don't know if you could tell us where the U.S. bottles are. I can tell you because I see Christine asking about this in Ohio. It's right across the river at Party Source. I can tell you they still have 16 of these.
Oh, brilliant! There you go.
We've knocked out half their stock so far, but they still do.
Those were sold out when I was there last, weren't they?
No, they ordered again.
Oh, okay, but they were not there when I bought that one.
Yes, yeah, they restocked.
Yeah,
we bought them all and they restocked.
Very good.
And then we've already gone through half again. But yeah, I'm completely out, so I'm gonna have to go down and get a couple more. But yeah, they do have it there. James asked if you could clue in on the rum cask. I think he's referring to the one he's drinking. So I'm gonna let you speak to that because that is interesting. That is your rum.
Yeah, I have to. Oh, this one. Yeah, we normally the one that he's drinking is our rum. Yeah, because we make our own rum, and these essentially like wild 2-month fermentations that are outdoor, open top, really funky rums, and then we do very forward cuts, so it comes across very like agricole, and then so we finish our whiskey in it for 6 months, and also in the PX sherry casks, and that's when you marry the two together, you get rum and raisin. But this time we focused on a completely different rum cask for the American one. We just wanted to do something really special, so we got this cask specially sourced and shipped to us, and it just gave up so much funky flavor, of tropical notes that just married so well with the sherry influence as well.
So Gandhi also has the Killowen rum raisin. He's got, I believe that's the US one.
Good man, Gandhi. Fair play to you.
And Dave is drinking the new dog desserts.
Dave's hardcore. He's gone straight to the top. Straight to the top. You'll be
I thought I had a lot
Dave.
of Dave's catching up with me real fast, really, really fast.
Yeah. Oh, I had a few Dag desserts a couple of weeks ago there. It's a strong one.
Tony has the Acacia, that was whiskey live. So that's the rum and raisin that was finished in Acacia.
Yeah. So we done rum and raisin, and then we finished it in an Acacia wood cask, and it was really, really nice. Really nice whiskey, Yeah, fair play to him. It was a special one as well.
So this one is, for everybody wanting to know, 55% ABV. I love the nose on this. You can get that coconut.
Absolutely, it's so tropical, and even on the palate too. It's almost like it's very viscous as well. It was a great cask. It turned out much better than we thought as well. We really wanted this, as I said, for the home market, but High Road Spirits were saying, no, we need two single casks to come over this year. So and that'll do us for some time, they said, and they just wanted them to be something really special. And unfortunately, and to the upset of folks back at home here who really wanted this cask, because a lot of these bottles were actually bought by friends of friends, and then they were just shipped back over this direction. So the amount of people I talk to, or sometimes you end up at parties or at whiskey tastings and you see this Killowen coconut rum cask back in Ireland, and you're sitting going, what the fuck? And the 375 ml bottles are pretty small. That's probably you send them back to your friends here. It's a testament to the whiskey community, I suppose. But yeah.
I'm sure, like, my luggage when I come over there is going to be just as full going over as coming back. Just taking whiskey over, yeah.
Just plan to buy another bag while you're there.
I usually pack my bag in my bag. Yeah. When we all went to Colorado together, our group, for a trip, we had I can't even imagine what TSA must have thought. There were so many of us with empty checked bags that were not going to be empty on the way back, that were empty on the way there. Just for whiskey. The things we do. Cheers, Mike Meyer. Donald has a question. Is Killowen the only direct-fired stills in Ireland? I know Scotland, Springbank, Mortlach, and Glenfarclas use them, and Hakushu in Japan.
I think there's one other in Ireland that are using them, and I'm not sure if they're allowed to be or not, so they want to keep it quiet. It's very difficult to get it done legally and with insurance and that. But I think there's another younger distillery that's now using them that might want to be keeping it quiet. But outside of us two, then I think that's definitely it. So we brought it back and reintroduced it. And I remember getting a phone call at the time from a guy who was stepping out of line. He was the then president of the Irish Whiskey Association, and he told me that I couldn't do it. And I told him that he should stick to his politics, and I'll stick to my architecture, because those were our two prospective educations, professions outside of the whiskey industry. So it didn't go down well.
Though Donner has a question: is Killowen twice distilled? Also, do they do any pot still with some unmalted barley?
Yeah, we are twice distilled. Good on you. We are twice distilled, and pot still does contain unmalted barley, but it also contains a little bit of oats, rye, and wheat. You're allowed to do that up to 5%, but historically we used to use much more. So we focus on using oats as much as possible in that small adjunct category of 5%, or even a little bit further than that. But 5% is the maximum you can use. But yeah, we're essentially a pot still distillery, and there's much more pot stills coming out, as you'll see now as the tasting moves on.
Robbie says, sorry, Brendan, I'm having some Teeling Black Pits cask strength because I've none of your whiskey left. Robbie doesn't have to go far to get it.
Good man, Robbie. You're obviously working hard there, so you're all right. And here, that's a nice whiskey, So fair play. The Teelings are good guys. So
I loved it. This one, I love the Killowen rum and raisin, but this coconut, it just adds just like another layer. It
really does.
remind me of just.
Is there actually coconut in the distillate?
In the rum, yeah, the rum
Coconut.
distillate that the guys use, yeah. It's a coconut distillate, and it's done in small batches, but it's full on,
Yeah.
But I was surprised that it came over to such an extent into the spirit. And then on the finish, you don't really get it at the front of the palate, but towards the finish, you definitely get it. You get it on the nose and the finish. But it's completely different from the normal rum and raisins.
Yeah,
I'm
that
calling
nose
out
is really
Stacey.
like a pina colada.
Yeah.
I'm calling you out, Stacey. Yours in a Glen.
I'm using my Killowen Cult Glen.
Yay! What, are you on a tour? Are you? Is that it?
I don't have the Killowen Cult too. I do. I have.
I'm using the Glen
Copita.
as well.
I have the
I'm using
Glen and the Copita.
I'm using a crystal Glen.
Oh, he's bougie.
He's bougie.
It's the only one.
Well, I only have these because of Stacey, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, cheers, old pirate bourbon. Yeah, Donald's right. The bloody technical file. It's time to amend it.
Well overdue. I think we might reach out to people on that. Get everybody to sign a petition.
I know if Americans are, you'll get a lot of signatures.
Yeah, I think we just need to do it.
So Tony is asking, where is Killowen found in the U.S.? Do you know where is it sold? I know, is it still Minnesota, and obviously it's in Kentucky?
Yeah, Minnesota, Kentucky, and San Francisco is very good as well. There is Florida. Texas is pretty good as well. In Austin and that is pretty good. But there's a crowd in San Francisco, and they're called Folsom Wines in San Francisco.
Yeah,
but
Folsom Wine and Spirits,
yeah, and even if the website may not allow you to ship it to your state, just send them an email or give them a call, and they can ship it anywhere around the USA. And they're actually very, very good at that. So, just give them a wee shout, give them a ring. Try and buy it online, but they'll ship it anywhere. They're brilliant.
Any looks at the New York market?
Oh, yeah, we're in New York. We're in New York as well.
You are?
Yeah.
I have not seen it. Do you know where?
There's like a few of the bars. The Dead Rabbit bar, for instance, stock us.
Okay.
We're on their menu. We're on their menu twice. We're the only Irish brand ever to be on their menu twice. And the likes of Travel Bar as well.
Yeah, I know, Rob.
There. Yeah, we're in there. Different places,
I'm at for retail.
Retail, I know what you mean. I'll find that out for you, and I'll let you know. Do you know what? I'll drop a wee text here now to my friend, and I'll get a list. But yeah, we're in some retail.
Okay, cool. I was going to say, there's a small Irish market in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. We need to grow that. I think there's a few hundred of us there.
Yeah, one or two.
Hey, cheers, Mr. Great Shot. So Donald says, does Killowen use 2-row or 6-row barley?
What's that row? What do you mean row?
I was hoping you knew.
Oh, Donald, you need to educate
Donald,
masses
here. Tell us what you're talking about.
You mean like higher density yields, as in like the more modern varieties of yields, and I know what you mean now with a bigger head of corn. Ask is that maybe that's what he means. Genetically modified in recent generations. So there's two things. There's modern barley, and then there's heritage grain.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I suppose we can get onto that we can get onto that question in the next whiskey that we're on, get into more detail. It'll be more.
Sugar King wants to know: does the distillery currently have a professional mouser?
Professional. Yeah, she's sleeping beside me. I think I might get her here. Just one second.
I'm doing my best to mute between the sneezes and the coughs.
So this is the mouser here.
Oh,
But she obviously had a big shift last week, and she's starting work early tomorrow. So she's called Panger. Panger, after a famous poem, Panger Ban, that was written in the 9th century in a country that's now known as Germany, and wasn't at the time. But yeah, so that's why we name one of our pochines Panger, after the same ethos.
Donald. Okay, so we'll go on to our second pour here, because that would be a good lead way into Donald's question. So our second pour is going to be the other U.S. release, which is a single pot still finished in cognac casks. And I don't know if it's gonna.
Yeah, finishing. This stuff was.
There it goes.
But if you see it on a shelf, it looks like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on here, Ben. Oh, budge. There we go. Yes. That's what it looks
Pretty
like on the shelf.
box.
It's great packaging.
Which one will I open? That one, or no, that's bottle one, so I'll have to open this one. Right. So, do you know what? This calls for a bottle pop, because I've actually two of these. And this one, I took this back from Texas when we were out there. I actually bought this one back because I wanted to have an American bottle that was actually stamped. So I'm going to crack this one myself. But
I cracked mine to share it, because I just picked one up because I emptied the last one on my little.
They're pretty hard to crack too. Some of them are like bulletproof.
The nose on this one.
Yeah.
This again. So this is what Chris was saying in High Road Spirits. He was like, Brendan, what we need you to do is put your best foot forward. What's your best cask in your warehouse? And I said, single pot still my best cask is a white cognac cask. We sourced this. This was one of the older casks as well. So it's KDC 008. This was the 8th cask that we had ever filled in the warehouse. And we put it into the white cognac cask. Single, nothing else. And it sat in there the whole time. It's a lovely noise. And guys, this one, this is single pot still. So this is GI compliant. This is made according to the modern legislation of single pot still Irish whiskey. So it has 30% unmalted barley and 5% oats, rye, and wheat. So of that, 2.5% are oats, and then there's rye and wheat in there, and so about 1.5% each. This mash bill, oh my god, this was my favorite cask by far in the warehouse at the time. And again, we sent it to the States. We were disappointed as well that the whole thing had to go, but that's just the way that's the way we roll. Is the whole cask goes in the one direction. And there was a few folks here had tasted it, so they wanted it. So again, a lot of these bottles made their way back here to Ireland. And
this one is still in stock. Also, I can tell you at Party Source they have.
It is, yeah. It is.
They have, I think like 16 or 20 of these left. Tony has a question: is the coconut only available in 375? Yes, that's the US side thing.
It is, Tony. So we were at the time we're a 500 ml distillery because our bottles are 500 ml, but we never graduated to the 700 until a couple of weeks ago. We put our rum and raisin in the 700. At the time there was no 700s in the USA. There was 750s. So we just couldn't, as the smallest distillery in Ireland, we couldn't jump that high. So the nearest bottle size that we could work with was 375. But in time we will go to 700 in the USA. But yeah, these will be the last of these. Plus, we'll never do a white cognac cask again, and we'll never do a coconut rum cask again. So there were two nice expressions. So at least there's plenty of them to go around.
Well, we appreciate you
Never?
sending this one over here because this one, the nose on this is so nice.
Yeah, it's very mellow. But you still get that pot still spice in the background.
Yeah, this is so nice. There's brown sugar and vanilla and that pot still like spicy clove at the end.
Now, you said you had some insight into the cognac you used. I know you said it was white cognac, but
Yeah. So it's white cognac, and it was made by Hennessy, but they
okay.
made a white cognac this time, and it was a one-off, sort of a small batch and stuff. I don't know where it was sold, but the casks, we got the certified casks certificate for it, so we had the trace in the background. And the lovely thing about this cask was a lot of cognacs are actually put into European wood, as you know, but this one was actually put into an X. It was American oak, so you get this American oak influence that went into the cask, and then we got it. So it didn't have that aggression. If you ever tasted European oak casks, they're actually quite aggressive. But,
yeah,
like that's why we love ex-bourbon casks for whiskey over here, because a lot of the vanillin is taken out into the bourbon industry, and then we're left with a much more mellow influence in our casks from the American oak, and I just think it makes for a much more interesting.
So it's
spirit.
New American oak. Well, now used American oak charred.
Yeah,
had bourbon in it. Then they dumped that out. Obviously rebuilt it into a bigger cask.
No, it was a 200 liter. 200 liter. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Okay.
It was standard bourbon
Dumped
size.
that out. Hennessy filled it with white cognac.
Yeah.
Set that. So this is a ex-bourbon, ex-cognac, everything.
Yeah.
That explains the layers. I mean, there's just layers.
There's a lot of layers.
And then all that spice you're getting comes from a mash bill, the mixed mash bill of single pot still.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the mouthfeel is coming from the oat content in there as well. And the unmalted barley as well. Those yellow melon notes that you're getting, we find that they come from the unmalted barley content as well.
I love that creaminess that you get from those oats.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what it's all about. Creamy oats. They're just.
Tony found the cognac and the coconut. Tom, this bottle we're drinking is 61% ABV. So it's 122 proof.
Okay. So the one Tom is talking about the
he's talking about, yeah.
Well, the cognac one is 61%, and then the rum and raisin was 57.7 probably. But the most every other rum and raisin was 55%. So it was different. But this one is 61%, which is 122 proof. But all of our other spirits, the lowest our whiskey would ever go to is 55%. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. Everything's straight from the cask, you know, into the bottle, because we think you guys have the right. You guys can just, you know, reduce the whiskey yourself down to your own tasting strength. Add a little teaspoon or a pipette of water. Everyone's got their own desired, you know, dilution. So we don't do that. I think sometimes for distilleries to do that can be a bit arrogant. Everybody's different, and just let the consumer add whatever amount of water they want, or just let them drink it at the cask strength.
And that's why this has been so popular when I've taken it to like bourbon meetups. It's because of the higher, you know, they're used to drinking those higher proof, those single barrels.
Yeah.
So the higher proof it goes over really well, and that's the reason I ended up doing this, because everybody said there isn't any high proof Irish whiskey.
Oh,
hold my beer.
We've released about. I don't know. We've released about 50 of them. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we get going, I'm going to add one more person here who is backstage. She looks like she is ready. So it's somebody a lot of people in chat will recognize, because she was on here with me 2 weeks ago celebrating the Pachi Now Festival. And that is Lisa from the Dram Between.
Cheers. Hi, Lisa, how are you?
Hi, guys. Hey, Brendan. How are you?
Hi, good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having me on, Stacey.
Thank you for jumping in the last minute. Sugar Kitty says Folsom does still have the white cognac available.
Folsom, yeah.
Where was it here? Robbie has a good question.
Hey, Amy.
Do you ever use French oak?
We do a lot of experimentation in the distillery. French oak, basically, you're talking about, Quercus rubra and Quercus alba. So you're talking, the European oak gives a lot of like clove, white pepper, cinnamon sort of notes. And then the lovely American oak tends to be much more safe option. It tends to give vanilla and caramel as a flavour. So you have to be very careful with European oak. The best way to use the European style oak, from the Limousin forests, is that if you have fortified wine in there that's very, very sweet, and that balances out the very dry notes, then you're safe. Like a really, thick, sweet sherry, for instance, that can balance out the dryness. But if you use ex-bourbon casks, you're always safe. Nothing will ever go wrong. Ever. I don't think ever.
Sure will. Never use Dickel casks.
Yeah, don't do that.
Excuse me.
There's a couple of bourbon distilleries that are not widely regarded.
Yeah, so we mean the mass-produced sort of style ones,
Yeah.
that do come over. We've got a few Oz Taylor casks. They're proven to be amazing.
Oh wow, yeah.
Really good stuff.
Make sure I didn't miss anybody's comments in here. Folsom is one bottle shorter of each.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, there we go. Thank
Well
you,
done.
Sugar Kitty. There's the link, the direct link to the Killowen collection at Folsom Wine and Spirits. Thank you, Sugar Kitty.
Well done, Sugar Kitty.
You guys can
Thanks
check
for that.
out.
Well, you used to be able to get it at Folsom.
Yeah. The Folsom were good. Larry has been a
I'm going to
bright
be
supporter
getting.
of Killowen for years, so we made sure he got the lion's share of the allocation. So he's good. He's good.
I know Party Source has been happy with stocking Killowen when we got them to do that, because they have had to restock it. The previous
brilliant.
collection, the experimental bonded series, and this series, they've had to reorder it.
Well done, Stacey. That was down to your good work.
Yeah.
And the Ohio crew
If stock, we'll buy it. I swear we will.
smuggling it across the border into Ohio
And elsewhere.
and elsewhere.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
elsewhere.
I got some for Lisa too in New York.
Yeah.
I've never done such a thing.
No, never.
The fact that
Cheers,
it makes its
Emily.
way back, to Ireland from Party Source as well. It's
Oh,
crazy.
that's cool. Yeah, that's a good point.
Hey, cheers, Alex Bruyere. He needs to find places that have Killowen in Minnesota. Alex is across the border in Ontario, Canada.
Very good. Yeah. Alex, a good place for you to get it. If you can't get it in Minnesota, which it's around Minneapolis, Minnesota, with wine. I forget what they call the guys who sell it, but I'll find out for you. I'll let you know. But the Americans of Killowen Facebook page, if you stick it up there, we'll find out for you. Canadians are also welcome up in there too. And you can also get it in Quebec. There's some folks in Quebec, but they don't have those two releases. Those were American exclusives. But yeah. Alberta, sorry. not
Tony
Quebec,
mentions
Alberta.
the Killowen Cult Club.
Yeah, the Killowen Cult. Here, by the way, the Killowen Cult is a wonderful organization. It's the people who follow Killowen Distillery the most, and up until very recently, they only ever let 1,000 people in, and they tend to. I don't know why. It's independent of us, so it's run by basically very decent support base, and there's a community of people who just. Yeah, there's a few rules. First of all, there's no dickheads allowed and no creeps and arseholes. So anybody who in there who's being bold or bad behavior or being rude, they just kick them out. And but we give them special treatment. So we make sure that they get access to casks, access to special bottling, special products, and discounts. And we also run, raffles and prizes in there just because the people are just so nice. And we also decided to give us a chair this year, the chair of the Killowen Cult, and that was Stacey. Stacey became the first chair of the Killowen Cult, so she got the jacket to prove it, which is brilliant.
Raising a glass to you, Stacey.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But,
Yeah.
a lot of the guys in the cult as well, they've got cards. So the distillery said that they would help by producing, by getting the cards and issuing them out to people. So yeah, a lot of the members have cards now as well. So there's
Alex
a cask
actually has a
coming out.
card. Yeah, Alex
Yeah,
is he's in the cult and has his card. They just
Alex,
can't
good
show
man. No,
it,
I know Alex. Yeah, no, fair
yeah.
play. And the with your card as well, that means you'll be entitled then to get the whiskey that's coming out. So the Killowen rum was released, which was class. It was a blackberry rum. It was released last
It's
month.
so good.
But the whiskey is being finished in that, and it's being released in January. So yeah, the cult are going to get treated there. Plus, they get it at a lesser price than normal, which is great. But here, the reason why I brought that up is because it used to be capped at 1,000. But if anybody wants to join, Stacey has the right to let them in. So yeah.
All these people, I know all these people, and they're all wonderful. So I would let all.
Yes,
of them in.
you have the veto, because normally they like vet the people who are coming in, and then they either let them in or they don't let them in. But everybody's allowed in now because Stacey she can say yes. So.
More Americans in there. Yeah, more Americans.
Are you sure you want more people being able to get your whiskey, Stacey?
Yeah.
The more they sell, the more we'll bring over. More whiskey is not a problem.
That's true.
Brendan, Robbie says, "Are you far from Newry? He's going to drive from Dublin to do the distillery tour, not drinking and driving. So he wants to know how far you are from Newry."
We are about, I would say, 20 minutes from Newry. You can get, about 20, maybe 25 minutes from Newry. Yeah. So it's, and then whenever you're on the way to us, you can call into Two Stacks as well. They're in Newry. So we're both very friendly companies. So yeah, that would be a good day out. Like, there's no excuse. We're only an hour and 20 minutes from Dublin. So yeah, it would be rude not to, Robbie, to be honest with you.
So our next pour is one that it quickly became one of my favorites. And that is our Tawny Port Cask. This was an older bottling. This is all sold out now. But I wanted to bring, oh shoot, come on. That's not one to focus. There it goes.
Oh, brilliant. Well done.
Heated Tawny Port Cask. And that is the natural color of this thing. So I obviously I have shared this quite a few people. I absolutely love this.
Well done, you.
So I don't see the Killowen cult, but I do see Americans of Killowen.
Americans of Killowen is like an extension of the cult, so they get most of the benefits as well. But then again, not everybody in the cult gets some of the American benefits that go out sometimes. So
I'll send you an invite to the Killowen cult after this one.
And anybody else who wants.
Christine says she's driving down to my house to taste this one.
Nice.
Christine's in Cleveland. Dang,
Oh, sorry. The reason why you can't find the Killowen cult is because cult is spelled with a K.
Yeah,
Killowen
make
cult,
sure you
K. Killowen cult, KULT.
It's probably invite only.
No, it's no. I think you apply.
Yeah.
But guys, this peated port cask, it's actually fitting, Stacey, that you poured that today, because this won gold last week. Was it last Thursday? This won gold.
Was it? Yeah, I was last week. I wasn't sure if it was Thursday.
Yeah, for the best for not the won gold for peated for peated whiskey in Ireland, and not bad for a 3-year-old, but it's by far and away. I've designed some lovely buildings in my life as well. I used to be an architect. I was in 7th Avenue in New York once, spent most of a year there, and decided it wasn't for me. And then I was in Sydney as well for 3 years as an architect, and spent 4 years in Ireland as an architect. And I have to say, I designed many nice buildings, and I've made many nice whiskies. But this is by far and away the best thing that I've ever made for me personally, and I just really loved it. And it was one single cask, and it's all sold out, of course. It's peated pot still. It's Irish whiskey the way it used to be made. It was sometimes it was peated, sometimes it wasn't, and it was made with much more oats than is allowed today. And so this is what we made it for. And I got the two best casks in the warehouse. Were two 120 litre recouped bourbon casks with this peated pot still in them. And then I took them out and we put it for 6 months inside this big chunky port cask. So I went up and to taste it. I took a taste out of the liquid and I looked at the colour. I didn't take it in. I looked at the colour and it was extremely red. And I thought, God, I've destroyed it. Look at the colour of it. I've ruined it. I nearly fell off the rack and I was so upset and down about it that I just took it and I just fired it down my neck and drank a whole big half pint of it. And you know what? I couldn't believe it. I thought it was overpowered by the color because you look at that color; it's extremely red. It's like fruit juice, Ribena.
Yeah, it's in the glass. You can tell.
And,
this is
and
it's like bourbon dark with a red hue. It's like grape juice.
Yeah, you would just say, "What's the point in drinking this?" I wouldn't touch it. But what I found out immediately after trying to do the self-harm situation was that all of the DNA survived. All of that Killowen DNA survived through it because the way we make our spirit is so strong. You know, with the characteristics of the distillation and the fermentations and the crazy cuts and everything else that we do, all those unorthodox methods, the spirit just really shone through, and it was Killowen DNA all over it. And so we were just delighted. So we brought it to market. We sold it. So many people who don't drink peated whiskey, the likes of, Barry Chandler and that, who don't drink peated whiskey, he really loved it. There's lots of other folks who just don't drink peated whiskey, and they thought, you know what, this one's for me. So we converted so many people to peated whiskey with this drop. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, I'm proud of that one.
My favorite combo, port and peat, and this is
probably
the best expression I've ever had of it. So this is, and also the fact that this is Irish whiskey is mind-blowing.
The fact it's 3 years old is mind-blowing.
True. And
all of these varietals that we're drinking tonight are 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they drink so well above their age. They're so exceptional. All of them.
Are you putting anything away for older age statements?
We keep trying to. We've only got one cask left, so I think we're back to ground zero from the older stuff. Just can't. You have to just live in the moment. But Lisa's right though about the fact that it's Irish, because this is actually the style that made Irish whiskey famous. Irish whiskey was the whiskey of choice around the world before Scotch. And Irish whiskey was the whiskey of choice in the USA before Scotch, before Prohibition. I think it was the Irish mob that made Irish sounding whiskies that during Prohibition that gave Irish whiskey a bad rap. And then Scotch filled in the void during when we had an economic war with our biggest neighbour at the time. Obviously we lost that. And then the Second World War happened, and Irish whiskey just died. And we reinvented ourselves as this smooth little brother of Scotch whiskey. When in actual fact, Irish whiskey was quite robust, and it was big, and it was flavoured and full-bodied and complex. And that's what we're making. You shouldn't apologise for being whiskey, and I think to an extent sometimes Irish whiskey does. But it can make big, bold statements now and again. And this is certainly one of them. And we're looking forward to making more of it. And there's a lot of distilleries in Ireland that are doing this sort of stuff now. So we are leading the charge in a very small batch way. But they're coming. They will come.
I think one of my favorite quotes from you that you've said is, we're the worst investment because we only fill the cask half full sometimes. We only make small batches. So it sells out. We never have stock. Like a lot of stock built up for 20 years. And
yeah, well, that's the argument we make, because the way we make whiskey is that the whiskey should be ready for drinking after 3 years, as soon as it, because let's talk about the methods from start to finish. You've got you're pouring your grains in. For a lot of the smaller distilleries, they take grain in that's already milled, rolled, crushed up into like a coarse flour. So they just mix it. It's like taking pre-ground coffee beans and freshly ground coffee beans. There's something about freshly ground coffee bean, that smell that's in the air, you can almost taste it. So whenever we're pouring the grains in, they're being broken up immediately above the mash tun. So they break up and fall straight in. And you can taste the difference between every single one of the grains you're putting into the mixed mash bill. We don't use an agitator. There's no machinery. We do it by hand with a boat paddle. So it's very soft. There's no aggressive mixing and stirring. There's no stressing of the fibers. And the osmosis works. The sugars work their way into the water. There's no added enzymes. like all the other Irish distilleries, we just use the natural enzymes that are in the malted content to extract stuff from the unmalted content to transfer those sugars and the starches. And then whenever our stills happen, whenever our fermentations happen, we don't cool it down. We don't put it through a wort cooler and waste all that water like everybody else. We put it outside and let it cool naturally. And then we let the wild yeast get in there. And that wild yeast gets in there and wild bacteria and creates this, like in an Olympic, like those lovely Belgian beers that just suck your cheeks in with those fruity notes of pineapple. And then we put it in the still, and the stills run then for 2 12-hour shifts. Any other distillery I worked in, the stills ran for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours max. We're running them for 2 12-hour shifts. Extremely long. And the burning under the base of the still is just, it's crazy, that length of time. And it's also grains in. So all that residue from the grains and the yeast are sinking to the bottom and burning and creating that caramelization. So those flavors, it's known as the Maillard reaction. Humans have evolved to like cooked foods, like the top of a creme brulee. We get more food value in an uncooked creme brulee than we do in a cooked creme brulee. And that's because we love those flavors. We've evolved since we discovered that fire cooking food is safer. And it's deep within our psychology that we like those in our subconscious. And whenever you have that extra dimension of flavor coming in the back of your spirit, even in our non-peated spirit, we love it and we don't know why. So it's something that we're just really passionate about.
The answer to that question is steak. That's why we like it. It's called steak.
Yeah,
I was going to say the answer is bacon. So yeah,
bacon. Yeah, would you rather eat boiled bacon or barbecued bacon? It's
exactly. That's lovely when you barbecue something and it's almost like caramelized on top of the meat,
like burnt ends.
It's the whole point of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you add any of your own yeast, or is it totally wild?
Yeah. So it's about 2/3 is fermented, and then we add the last domestic just to finish it off. But because it's going dormant at this stage, whenever we add it, you never get the full fermentation like you would. So it only happens about 90%. So again, you're losing efficiencies. But see that 10% non-fermented sugars, they work their way into the still, and then that's where that caramelization really lends itself. So yes, yield is terrible. Yield isn't great, but the flavors as a result, it's just very unique. And that's what it's all about. That's what traditional distilling is about in Ireland.
Well, I'm grateful for it because it's delicious.
That's how our Ben on board, because Ben told me, he's like, I like flavor bombs. I like a lot of flavor. And so I pulled out some of the Killowens.
It is.
And it worked.
They are flavor bombs. That's what we've always been about. It's just flavor. And that's the wonderful thing about oat. Oat is the oiliest grain you can get. Everybody, like, if you just think of the single malt, it's a fabrication of the last century. It really is. Because the Scots used to make mixed mash bill whiskey as well. They used to use oats all the time. But this idea of just one grain, it's quite boring, really. Whenever you've got this whole, palate to work from. The oat is the oiliest of them all. And any bit of spice that's coming from the other grains, like unmalted barley or rye, for instance, it's just exaggerated by the oat, because the oat's oil. It's like eating. We all like fatty foods because everything tastes better, because the oil sits in your palate for longer and all those lovely flavors just multiply. And that's the idea. That's the same idea with oats. Oats are just, that's what oats do. They hold on to flavor for longer in your palate.
So for our last pour, obviously Ben is a very good friend of mine. I respect his opinion, appreciate his palate. He has very good palate. So I wanted to share something special. So for the last pour, I sent him a sample of, this is Killowen Barrentool PX Sherry. This is cask 1. Whoa. First cask of your own distillate.
I was going to ask, have I ever had this before?
You have not had this, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning and we had been drinking for 6 hours at that point, and we decided we had to go to bed.
You must be very, very special.
we could only open.
I'm a little special. What can I say?
Those bottles are few and far between. How many is there? Because I know I've got we've got 6 in the distillery. One belongs to me.
Oh, wow.
One
It
belongs
says
to Liam.
200
One belongs to Shane.
232.
One belongs to the distillery, and that means there's 2. There's just 2 for the future at some stage. So it's 232 bottles only. And
Yeah.
when you get some of them, we're going for like a couple of grand on Irish whiskey auctions as well, sterling. So what is that? I don't know.
Well,
$3,000 or
Stacey knows I love
$4,000.
the X finish.
Yeah.
So
It's flattering. It's an honor. It's also a shame that someone would sell it when they can open it.
Well, yeah, 'cause
Yay, Lisa! Well done.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, they shouldn't be sad.
Because we had to win a lottery for the chance to buy this. There wasn't enough to go around.
Yeah, you're
These
actually
sell
right.
out very, very quickly, which is why it's such a big, huge honor that we have one of these in the US.
Yeah.
Because they sell out very quickly.
I mean,
Well done, Lisa.
all of us were kind of flabbergasted when we got, part of the lottery. We're like, really? Like what? Like honored. So it's
Well done, you guys. There was a lot of folks that were very disappointed that they didn't get those. I think I fell out with a few people, or they fell out with me that they didn't. But it was a lottery. There's nothing you could do,
Yeah.
So
well, the good thing too about the cult is everyone shares. So I mean,
Yeah, most of this I've shared out with special people. Ben being one of them. I love sampling all of this out, which we're gonna. Another one of these samples is going out because after we drink this, I'm gonna do a Patreon giveaway, and a Patreon member is gonna win a sample of all 6 of the Baron tools that I have.
wow,
So to make my
that's
that's massive. That's massive.
it's
Lucky
Christmas.
Patreons.
Brendan, you enter the giveaway.
Yeah,
well,
lucky
this is not
Patreons. That's unbelievable.
correct.
What's that?
I'm not getting any peat in this, correct?
Oh,
This
you wait until you drink it and then you get it. I suppose.
This is terped.
Yeah, peat. We
Yeah.
call, in Ireland we call peat turf.
Okay.
And
I was going to ask you if there was because like the Tawny Port says peated and this one says turfed.
Yeah, we tend to just play with both, but you're not allowed to say turfed on the label. So, so every so often we have to keep our head down.
And and your labeling has gotten creative because the very first bottle of Killowen that I purchased was that Pinot Noir that came with the card explaining why the label had Sharpie on it, blocking out some of the words because they decided you were sharing too much information with all of us.
Exactly. That's what it was. That should not have happened. We shouldn't have been investigated for that carry on. That was so we had to use Sharpies then forward in the rest of that series, scribbling out information that empowers the consumer when we were told that we were misleading the consumer. Yeah. It's silly.
Wish I
Silly
saved
stuff.
that bottle in hindsight.
Yeah. Probably should.
Just to have it as a collectible.
Yeah.
Man, this is
The nose on this one is so pretty.
Yeah, it's crazy, and you're getting ginger spice and things like that as well from a little bit from the mash bill, but also from the European oak. Someone was talking about European oak earlier. That's the idea of those cloves and spices that come out of European oak casks.
I guess
Cloves
cherries,
and
I
ginger
feel like dark cherries.
Yeah, and but then
I only
thankfully
poured a little
the
bit.
sweetness.
I only poured a little bit so I could try more of it when I feel 100%.
Yeah.
Well, Sláinte,
Sláinte.
and Lisa, Brendan.
Sláinte.
I go back and forth between this one and the Tawny Port for my favorite.
I know it is a tough one.
No,
Yeah.
this is better.
Yeah, it's dark chocolate and coffee.
yeah.
Oh God.
I think it's just more about what mood you're in. Like this is almost
Well,
more like toasted and sublime, and the other one's obviously a flavor
Right.
bomb. So
I've only had one other whiskey that just did what this did, and that was a 27-year Glendronach.
wow.
There they go.
Because you know how you get layers, you get transitions.
Yeah.
This just did what I call a stick shift. Like it changes gears.
Yeah.
It went from dark chocolate to the dark chocolate disappeared and it went to coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee.
And then the
Big
coffee
time.
went away and it got spicy.
Yeah.
So maybe
so much happening.
yeah, there's
so
like
much
roasted,
happening.
not toasted. It's more of like a roasted flavor, not toasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the same thing. I get that like a nice, good dark chocolate
Mhm.
into like a nice dark roast coffee or like an espresso, and then that spice. And then it starts off, I get vanilla at the front.
Oh,
But the
yeah.
transitions are not subtle. It's like
No, it's like
it drops
boom,
off
boom,
and it
boom,
drops
boom.
off.
Yeah.
And you pulled that off in 3 years. That's freaking impressive.
That's the plan. That was the whole idea. This was the first cask that we filled, and this was the first cask that was released. You know? So we only produce a cask a week on average. So
Wow.
it's not a lot.
So was this when you first made this, was this more of at the time you thought, oh, an experiment and we'll see how this comes out? Or
Yeah.
something really, just experimenting before and this was like the first official that you laid down?
I suppose the mash bills were always being made. So poaching making in Ireland is there's a traditional form of poaching making. It's like as illicit distillation. there was a lot of experimentation before the distillery was built.
Right. Yeah, I didn't mean to go into the disclose.
Illicit distillation is nothing that Americans aren't
The
familiar
mash bill was perfected long before.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
So when you decided you're going to release your first cask, was this the one that immediately you knew that you were going to go with? Were you wavering between any casks, or were you always like this?
It had to be, because the first cask was this, and then the second cask was GI compliant.
Mm-hmm.
So the first cask had to be non-compliant, and I thought everybody always holds on to the first cask, and I said, you know what? No, we'll just release cask number 1, and that'll be it. It was always the plan, yeah. So it had to be and the first spirit that we distilled in the distillery had to be non-compliant pot still. Basically historically correct pot still that we can't call pot still.
Mm-hmm.
So even though this is single pot still, we're not allowed to call it single pot still. So the whole action of the first cask was a statement, a protest. We opened up as a protest distillery. We're still a protest distillery, and we'll always be, trying to fix things. And that was the idea.
Do you see that? Go ahead, Ben.
No, I was just going to say, are you looking at any expansion to be able to make a little more whiskey?
Yeah, we got the third still in there. So we used to make 3/4 of a cask a week, and now we're just over a cask a week. So it's good. We can make a bit more if we increase our shifts. We don't distill every day. We distill maybe about 4 days a week. So if we need to do more expansion, we can distill maybe 5-6 days a week. We're up there working 6 days a week, but we're all doing other things, like packaging. We could probably move our packaging into another little shed down the mountain a bit.
So you're doing your own bottling, your own packaging, everything?
Yeah. Everything, especially.
Yeah.
That's cool, but it sucks.
I know. We do everything by hand. We label by hand. A lot of the labels we write on them by hand. We apply them by hand. Fill the bottles by hand. There's a lot goes on in a small place.
That's one of the reasons I get so excited about Killowen, is because obviously, I'm close to Kentucky. So you see these massive facilities that are pretty much almost automated. So to see somebody who does that level of dedication and level of attention to detail all by hand is just not common in the whiskey industry anymore.
No, and the options are there, the places are there that we can do things, but we just like to have quality control. We like to see everything from start to finish. And then we like to just, send the bottles out as well. So do you know what the most difficult thing is? Packaging up the bottles and sending them out. Sending them in the DHL boxes and post them around the world. That takes so long. It's just that's
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
It takes up so much space.
Yeah. Well, all the glassware arrives really well in the States. The glassware.
Yeah.
Cheers to your packaging, because I've never had anything
Breakage, yeah.
happen to any bottle.
Yeah, there's
If
been no issues.
For us to ship to the USA, it takes 2 days. Anywhere, well, Alaska takes 3 days, but to get from USA to another part of the USA, it takes sometimes a
forget
week,
it.
2 weeks.
Oh yeah. I can get something
anywhere.
from Ireland quicker than California.
We can
Yeah.
get to San Francisco in 2 days, or
Yeah.
we can get anywhere across the states in 2 days. But
I've
Alaska's 3 days.
I've received a bottle from you guys quicker than I can send something to someone in my town. Like if I build it, it's insane. I don't
understand it.
I don't get
So Donald has a question. He says, "What is the heaviest level of peat that Brendan has used?"
Yeah, Donald, you're actually, it's a very good question. We're thinking of looking into this. We don't measure ppms. We actively just decided not to do it because we try not to be overly scientific. But I think more and more people are asking that question, so I think we're going to start looking at it now, because we released a spirit called Balkan that was just so extremely peated. I don't know if there's anything in the world that's been more peated than it. So I'd love to get it tested to see what people think. But basically, in those 2 peated whiskies, the port and the cask 001 that the guys just tasted, 50% of that mash bill was heavily peated. Very heavily peated, and the rest was non-peated.
And it's
at all.
very mild in the palate.
Yeah,
Because, and that's the secret of oats.
Vulcan does not taste that peated.
And Balkan, I think, is probably the heaviest peated spirit that's ever been made. I wouldn't be surprised. But the idea, because Balkan was 50% oats again, and there now was just a few. See, if you add oats, it suppresses the peat, and then the peat tastes different than you'd expect. So, yeah, that's another one of the secrets of oats. Oats are just absolutely magic in distilling. The reason why they're not used is because they don't have the same yield that the other products should have. They're more oily and more about body and the viscosity than they actually are in terms of starch content and sugar content. So they don't ferment just as well in terms of yield, but they definitely taste better.
So which is easier to work with, oats or rye?
Oh,
oats! I'm thinking of the paddle breaker.
Oats all day. Rye is good for 1 bag and 14. But no, I would go oats all day. Oh, rye is a nightmare.
I'm a rye fan. I think Lisa and I have talked. She loves.
I love it. Yeah,
she's an oats fan. I'm more of a rye fan in whiskey. Yeah, but I know
rye's good if you I don't know, if it's used when it's, I don't know, if the husk is still on the rye, it's better because it becomes more buoyant in the water and then it doesn't stick together as much. And also if you use enzymes, rye is good, but we don't use enzymes. And if you use machinery to mix it, it's good, but we don't use machinery either. But yeah, rye's one of my favorites.
Robbie has a question. Who is bigger, yourself or Michael at Boylock?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I've heard your
talk. I actually don't know. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure, but don't know yet.
Let's see. A Spirited Life asks, what is your favorite project that you have going on now that you can share?
God, that's a good one. Do you know that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because the most exciting thing, we just released a really exciting spirit. The best thing ever released was Balkan, the best whiskey, and the best new. It was a Pachin, and then we released another Pachin there recently called the Dag des Oats. The Dag des Oats was released for Pachin now, and it was the best spirit that we've ever distilled. So that was just a couple of weeks ago, and I really worked hard to get that out. Then there was also for the Killowen cult, they got the blackberry rum. The rum was amazing. We didn't add any yeast to that at all. The yeast was just blackberries that we picked, and we let them go moldy, and we put them in. So it was released a couple of weeks ago as well. So blackberry rum was a big hit. But yeah, right now, okay, yeah, our next release is going to be a single pot still that was put into a beer cask, and the brewery was 2 miles from us down the road, and the brewery was great. They used the cask was just full of yeast, and it was it fermented in the cask. The small batch beer that they did, and they used a Brettanomyces yeast. Brettanomyces is like a sour, really funky yeast style for any of you beer heads out there. And so we finished our single pot still in it. And the first time we put it in, it started tasting like a lager, like Bud Light or something or whatever. I was just going, this is bloody terrible. I thought I'd destroyed it once again. But we tasted it there last week, and it now tastes like apricot yogurt, which is crazy. So I was talking to some wine experts about this, and they said whenever alcohol breaks down yeast, the protease comes out of it, and it acts like you would think oats would act like, except it's probably about 10 times more profound. So it's just this oily viscosity in the palate, and then it's got this really, for some reason, this apricot flavor that's just coming across the whole top of it. So if you imagine that single pot still you tasted at the start of the tasting tonight, that with apricot and yogurt, that's all it is. So it's going to be the next release. So yeah, you've heard it here. So that'll happen in the new year. It'll be even better.
Now, everybody who would be interested, make sure you check out the Killowen Cult page on Facebook.
Yeah, the guys
I'm sure details will come there first.
Yeah.
And our Killowen chair will let you in.
I will. I know these people, so I would.
Brilliant.
They're all
I still
wonderful.
can't find it. I'm not saying I've looked, but I still can't find it.
I'll send you a link.
Killowen Cult with a K.
I might have been banned. You never know.
Hey.
Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time.
We had a new member of staff started, and she joined twice. So she started with us there about a month or two ago, and she tried to join the cult twice. Ella, yeah, and they kicked her out twice. I was like, what are you doing? Like, oh, well, who is that? What's going on? I'm like, just why? Like,
that sounds about right.
Very good.
Yeah, that does sound about right. Yeah. Donald says, I've always wanted to see what a pot still would be like where the malt is peated and combined with a malted barley.
Yeah, that's what those two are. No, that's what the peated Killowen ones are. Yeah.
Christine found the Killowen Cult on the Facebook.
Happy days.
Oh, nice.
I'm telling you, I must be blocked or something. Unless I'm in it already.
You might be in it already.
I think you might be, Ben. I think you might be.
Yeah, you probably are.
You probably are. That's
probably banned. Yeah. They probably just preemptively banned me. Sorry.
All right, let me see if I can get up this Patreon. Stop share screen. I'm going to pull up our Patreon giveaway here. So thank you all of my Patreons. I really appreciate all your support. Thanks to you guys, it really allows me to keep doing all this fun stuff and being able to share all this whiskey with you guys. So if you're not a member of my Patreon, join. I do these every month. I give something away. That's the whole point of me having all this, is to share it with you and get it out there so that you guys can look for it when it comes to the US. So I'm going to give away, I can't even see over my shoulder. There's 6 of them. I do have 6 of this. So you're going to get 6 1-ounce samples of every beer and tool I have, including this cask 1.
Wow.
And then she's putting that bottle away.
And then I'm putting that bottle away.
And
until somebody else special, and I'm going to share it with them too. Because that's the whole point, is to open all of these and share. So let's do shuffle once, twice, 3, 4, 5, and good luck, everyone.
And if it lands on my name, do it again, because I don't. Okay. Yeah, someone else should definitely get it.
Yay. Bourbon School.
Yay.
Somebody's going to have a live stream or a video on Killowen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another YouTube channel. So
yeah. Kathy, you were this close.
Nice.
All right. So Brian from the Bourbon School, I will reach out to you. And Giddy Road, I still owe you your poaching. I finally did get boxes delivered to me from Amazon because it occurred to me we have not had an Amazon Prime delivery lately, so I didn't have a box. So I had them all wrapped up and ready to go, and could not do your hand delivery. Congrats. Sugar Kitty Killowen Facebook page is a good kitty pick. I'm liking them more and more.
You got to
Brendan,
say something
thank you.
anger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lisa and I actually did. That was one of our samples. We had Fran Levy here 2 weeks ago. He joined us after the Pachi now, and we went over 5 Pachins, and Panger was one of them. Yeah.
Brilliant. There you go. No, Fran's brilliant. He's flying the flag well for Pachi.
Oh, he really is. Yeah. He is big time. And Ben has tried Pachin. Ben came on one of my streams and did a Pachin flight.
Good man, Ben. No, I remember that actually. Yeah.
It did very weird things to palate, though.
Yeah.
It does.
Ben kept getting,
Some of them are better than others.
I kept getting agave notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
From the good ones.
Yeah.
it tasted very similar to good tequilas to me,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
or mezcals.
Yeah.
I was just like mind blowing that I'm like, this is single malt. This shouldn't taste this way.
You can make a delicious margarita with really good pachin. Like there's no reason to. I mean, I love tequila, but you can use it, or you can use a really good pachin for margarita. I've used Panger for margarita.
Yeah. The green Panger. The green Panger is brilliant for it.
Yeah.
You know,
another one of these of our channels had a cocktail competition, and if they do it next year, it didn't even occur to me for a non-whiskey cocktail, I'm going to enter a cocktail with Panger.
Brilliant.
I know that they're not expecting Pachin.
It's great. It won double gold in the San Francisco Spirit Awards as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
The Panger. So
was it the regular Panger? Was it the PX, the stout? Because there's multiple.
the regular one.
The regular one?
Yeah. The regular one. And that's
Nice.
It's the one that's in the Dead Rabbit menu and a few other places as well. So
Lisa and I got to share the whole series, and Lisa's like my Pachin buddy. Because when Vulcan came out, we actually got on a Zoom together and opened our bottles together and tried it.
Oh, brilliant.
Added water.
Good on you, Lisa.
Yeah.
You guys are hardcore.
We had some fun.
We had a good time. Thank you, Sugar Kitty, for putting a link to the cult page in here.
No, that's not the cult page. That's just to the photo of the kitty.
That's to the photo of the kitty on the cult page.
Is it? All right, let's see. Maybe I'm banned. Let's see.
You're definitely not banned. I'm sure you're not.
You don't know me now.
Stacey, I'll get you back in.
No, that's on the
distillery.
distillery. That's when she was a kitten.
Well, Brendan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. You taking the time out.
Not at all. No, it's brilliant to be here. Thanks very much for having me, guys. It's a pleasure. It really is. These are good fun.
So thank you guys for joining us in chat. I said the rum and raisin, the coconut rum and raisin, the 5-year-old, and the Baron Tool cognac. These are US. These are still out, which blows my mind because these normally sell it so fast. I'm gonna have to get another one because this was my backup, and now it's open.
They won't exist. They won't exist again. They're only done for the US, and that's it. They'll never. Those expressions won't exist again.
Yeah, if you have any trouble finding them, find the Americans of Killowen Facebook page. You guys can email me, reach out to me on Instagram. I'll help you guys find a bottle. But thank you guys all for joining us. So next week, I'm actually going to be broadcasting live again from Grove City Brewing Company. We're going to pair up some whiskey and some beers together, some winter beers. I know Trevor's got some good stuff planned, some Christmas ales and some porters and stouts. And tonight, I believe Livewire is going live at 9:00. So make sure you get over there, tell them I sent you and said hi. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Brendan, again for joining me tonight. Make sure you guys check out Killowen If you have any questions, definitely hit all of us up. And you guys all have a Merry Christmas. Sláinte.
Sláinte.